Pokemon investing is not like what it used to be, because if we were talking about investing in collectibles a few years back, everyone was aware that if you bought sealed products, you would need to be holding for literally a few years before any rises would happen. Well, that's not the case anymore, and that's why in this video, I do want to go over how to build a Pokemon portfolio that truly wins in the long term and give you some updated knowledge, not just the old facts. The thing with investing in collectibles is that it's one of the quickest moving areas, and for me personally, I've seen so many shifts happen in such a small amount of time. But there's been so many lessons that I've truly learned as well, and in order to actually build a Pokemon collection and a Pokemon portfolio that grows in price, I found that there are certain rules that need to be followed in order for those pieces to align so they make success. Now, when you're investing or whenever you're purchasing collectibles and you hope for them to rise, nothing of this is guaranteed. That's the kind of risk you take whenever you do something like this. Though I have found over the years, there's a few things that you can do to make sure that those pieces at least align a bit easier. One thing that annoys me is that people looking for quick rises on certain cards. For example, like if there's cards that have had huge price spikes and they just become these opportune moments for people to take advantage of it, such as the Drowsy illustration rare or the Seismitoad. These quick movements are ultimately a bad way to collect, as you're not actually making any smart moves, but you're just following sheep. Literally, that's what you're doing. And that kind of way of collecting should be avoided at all costs. If you're chasing any hype waves or a card just spikes in price and you just want to jump on that straight away, you really should not be doing that. That is the first rule that, like, if you do want to actually build a Pokemon collection that does have the chance to appreciate, following hype trains is the quickest way. It's the quickest race to the bottom. However, in terms of the rules or the aspects that actually make for success, I have found one of the best ways to build a strong collection is first and foremost, making sure you have a good understanding of Pokemon. This seems pretty obvious because of course you should know Pokemon, you're collecting Pokemon cards. Well, guess what? I've actually noticed, especially as running this channel, a lot of people that are collecting in Pokemon at the moment, there's a few people that really, the majority of people are big fans, but there's a lot of people that have no idea what they're doing and they're just on this new hot trend and they think that what they hear online, or they just follow whatever's happening, they just follow that because they think it's going to rise in price. That is a very bad place to be. And the first and foremost thing, if you are going to be trying to build a collection that appreciates in time, it's very important that you understand Pokemon and do your own research there and probably get familiar with the franchise. The reason I say this is because one of the most common ways that products and cards actually hit new price ceilings is when there's something big that happens in Pokemon video games and then that spills over into the TCG. I've actually seen this so much, and I personally call this the spillover effect. And if you're seriously considering building a long-standing collection, it's about having the foresight of these moments. And you can really only predict this to happen if you do have some knowledge on Pokemon and the franchise. Otherwise, you actually have no idea what you're buying. So this spillover effect, some examples of this are something like what happened with old Mega Evolution Pokemon cards getting very popular because Pokemon Legends ZA was released, which started a whole new interest to Mega Evolution Pokemon. So old school Mega Evolution Pokemon cards got brought up in a hype waves and they've actually now entered a new price ceiling, and that's all because of Pokemon Legends ZA, and that spillover effect happened. But you know, there's actually so much foreshadowing that can be done with this already, and if you're early, you can already make these connection points. So that's why researching and understanding Pokemon and movements is very important, because there's a lot of areas in Pokemon right now that are very quiet, but they may be hyped in the future. For example, Gigantamax Pokemon. There's Terastallized Pokemon. There's tag team cards. Now, if you know Pokemon very well, you'll actually understand that they usually revisit areas or recirculate older arenas. So there's a very high chance that sometime in the near or distant future that Gigantamax will return in a new video game. And then that may bring a lot of interest in old Gigantamax cards. Well, the same thing with the TCG. If tag team cards somehow return, the originals will always hold a very special place in the market. That's why in terms of focusing and building a collection that appreciates and wins, it's about having a mix in your collection of sealed products, singles, and also considering some of these generation defining moments, or even when you're looking at TCG specific moments, that might be tag team cards or rainbow cards, as there is a chance for this recirculation effect to happen, and the originals are always the ones that get the biggest price boost. Now also, I just want to say, if you have been enjoying the video and it is your first time here, I want to say hi, my name's Phil and welcome to the channel. I've been making content about Pokemon cards for 2 years now. Definitely feel free to subscribe for consistent Pokemon content. It's always good seeing new faces on board. Now, another area for building a strong collectible portfolio is that you're accurately tracking it. So that means placing the price that you paid for an item and also making sure that you're aware of the current market value as well. Now, one of the best ways to track your collectible portfolio is with the Collector app, and they also are the sponsors of today's video. Collector is a next generation collectible portfolio manager that lets you track the value of your collectibles over time. One of the best things about Collector is that you can actually organize your portfolio however you want. For example, as you can see here, I've separated my collection based on certain criteria. I have my PSA 10 Pokemon cards, I have my sealed Pokemon products, my PSA 10 Dragon Ball cards, and so forth. One awesome aspect of Collector is that they do have a built-in trade analyzer tool. You can place in what you're offering versus what you'll be receiving, and you can see if it's a fair trade based on the current market prices. Now, if you do upgrade to Collector Pro, you actually do get access to the Max tab. Here you can extend pricing graphs past the 1-year view, and this is super useful to get a very long overview of the hobby. Collector is by far one of the easiest ways to track and manage your collectible portfolio. You can find all the details to download the Collector app in the video's description. A big thanks to Collector for supporting the channel. Let's get back into this video. But yes, tracking your collectibles, like I just mentioned, is super important. And the only reason for that is what is measured can be improved. And that's like in goals in life, okay? Like one big thing, especially I've read a lot of books on goal setting. You've probably seen in the background, Atomic Habits is there. All these are focused on goals and how you can improve. And one of the biggest ways is measurement. Whenever you have a goal, or if you have something that you're trying to achieve, whether it's in your collectibles or even in life, if physical fitness or any goals in life, maybe you want to do something with your career. If you have that big overarching goal, what's even more important than the goal, once you figure it out, is to have the ways to measure how that goal or how you're achieving that goal. That for collectibles, the easiest way to do that is to track your collection. So if you have that maybe you want your collection to hit a certain number, or that if you want to see how it travels over time, you do need to be tracking it. And that is a real big fundamental in how to make sure that your collection appreciates in time. Once you're tracking it, it really does have the chance to grow as long as you're doing those things right. Now, another area is to make sure that you have a little bit of a diversified portfolio in terms of your collection. Don't just do sealed. Make sure you include some PSA 10s, include some raw copies, and I always find it's good to have 1 or 2 outlier collectibles, such as a Pokemon video game, or even maybe some of the new Pokemon Lego sets if you wanted to hold on to them and see what happens with those. And it doesn't even have to be that outlier, but the best way, especially if you want to have a collection that does appreciate over the long term, is make sure that with your collection and what you're holding, that you do have those different categories. I see a lot of people, they just focus on sealed, and I get that because sealed has all those real strong ways that it improves. But to me, if I'm just collecting sealed booster boxes, I find that really boring. To me, like I would much rather own the gems of what you can pull, and that's why I love having PSA 10 copies of cards. That's just personal preference. For me, I really like that because to me, it's like, oh wow, I've got the highest grade that I can get off that card, and it's a rare card from that set. To me, I really like that. I love my sealed. Sealed to me is always a good kind of, it's kind of like your bread and butter when it comes to especially like investing in collectibles, right? But to me, also, I have to be so real that I find sealed sometimes so boring, man. Like, I don't want to just be looking at booster boxes. And some people love their booster box collection. I find it really boring. I love my cards. To me, if you ask me my favorite thing about Pokemon cards, it is the cards. It is the chase cards. It is owning those. It is looking at them in a binder. That is what makes this hobby incredible. That's what gives this hobby that extra boost. If you ask me where my favorite part of collectibles is, it's always the cards. But the problem, I suppose, or some of the issues with the cards, even though collectibles are really expensive, so I also try and tailor my purchases that, hey, if I do buy a card or a chase card that I love, I do get it usually in PSA 10, because when it is in PSA 10, I do know that, hey, at least I have the biggest price growth future that has if it is in PSA 10, just based on previous circumstances. But then as well, if I do have a sealed collection as well, it is a good idea to have a few different of those. I also like collecting sometimes. I don't mind actually having a few different Pokemon video games like Pokemon Colosseum or Pokemon Black, White 2. I love collecting those as well. Those though, they're not for growth, they're more for your collection. One big thing, especially if you are focused on all this, is you do have to collect with what you love as well. Please don't get into that thing that you just care about growth. That I don't think that's a good way to be in this hobby. Growth is cool because this is a hobby, and of course making some profit on your hobbies is great. And also, if you're a big fan of Pokemon as well, you got to remember that we do have a bit of a extra edge here. And one reason for that is I did learn from a mentor, and he said to me, he goes, hey, only invest in what you truly understand. Now, he was investing in all these things that all of his rich friends were telling him to do. And then he started investing in something that he knew, which was his art collectibles. And his biggest moments in terms of investing doing is what he's invested in art collectibles, right? And for me as well, and for a lot of people watching, I know with my Pokemon investing, I know I've got good knowledge there. So for me, I'm not even thinking about it. I know what I'm doing. Not to sound like I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I know a lot of people who's watching this channel also have that same knowledge. It's like I've been playing the game since I was 4 years old. I've played every game on release. I understand it so well, I understand the TCG so well. So when I buy or invest in collectibles, I have so much confidence. I don't have that doubt. But then if I invest in something else that I don't know that much about, I actually don't have that confidence. So I've actually, and a lot of people watching as well, we have that extra confidence and edge because we understand this franchise so well. So that is really cool as well. So yes, it can tick that box of great, prices go up in price. Big thing about investing in collectibles is make sure you have a love for it. I think the reason why it gets a bad rap is because people who just don't care about it just jump in, and we saw a lot of that. But you know what's funny as well? A lot of these people that don't care and just see the price, I have noticed that sometimes they actually start getting into it and then they just start collecting anything and everything in Pokemon because it has that little thing. It's like I saw this, can't remember the reel I saw, but this girl was talking about how she bought one Torterra card, she loved it, and then she bought like a Nintendo DS and there was a Torterra keychain on it as well. And then she, I can't remember who it was. So like, if you guys know who I'm talking about, put it in the comments. Pretty much one of the comments on that reel was, you don't choose your favorite Pokemon chooses you. And that's true, right? Like if you do have a favorite Pokemon, you do know that they actually do choose you. It's just weird how it works. Like my favorite Pokemon is Milotic. I love it from Gen 3. We saw it in the anime. Really wanted that Pokemon. Then I did the whole thing of catching Feebas, evolving it. And for me, it's always been my favorite Pokemon because it kind of reminded me of when you want a goal, you need to stick to it. And it's always a big lesson. Those little things make your collection extra special. And a big lesson here and a big thing as well, make sure to collect your favorite Pokemon in your collection as well. Don't just buy the sealed products. Don't just buy PSA 10 slabs of chase cards. Make sure you're buying also your favorite Pokemon. I think that really elevates every collection. Now, one area that I love is if you do want to build a strong collectible portfolio, I always think it's good to have two pieces in your collection. One of them is a higher end collectible piece of a PSA 10 card, of a loved chase card, and another one is a PSA 10 copy or a high grade copy of a card that you personally love or your favorite Pokemon. I feel this really elevates your collection. One is the higher end chase cards. To me, they work as trophy pieces. It's kind of like if you play PS5, I love to do trophy hunting as well. To me, like when I own a I was about to say when I own a PS5. To me, when I own a high-end collectible, I feel like that's a real big reward, or like there's something magical about that. There's something really cool that you own that piece of history in like Pokemon TCG. I really like that. But also when I own something like one of my favorites, like for example, Milotic, I said that's one of my favorite Pokemon. I love the PSA 10 Milotic that I own. That to me is one of my favorites in my collectibles. Love the artwork as well. That gives my collection more personality, I personally feel, and that's so important. So yes, it is about having a collection that grows in price, sure, but also you want to make sure that you love your collection as well. If you love it, you won't care if prices drop. I'm telling you, man, no one cares that much if prices drop if you genuinely love what you're buying. If you're not buying things that you love and your collection starts dropping in price, that's the people that go, oh, I got to sell, I got to liquidate, because you're not buying what you want. You're just buying what people are telling you to buy. If there is a top chase card that you love and you genuinely want it in your collection, then definitely add it. But if you're just buying things and buying cards, whether it's Seismitoad, whether it's the Drowsy that got the market manipulated, if you're just buying those because that's what you're seeing or content creators are talking about, including myself, I'll make videos when cards spike in price. You'll see that on my channel. Doesn't mean you just go buy that. It just means I'm just showing you what's happening in the market. You do have to make that distinction. Buy what you love, and also if you do have a high-end collectible that you love as well, try to make those boxes, like there is a win-win situation. Don't think of it as win-lose. You can make situations in this hobby win-win. Though, all these tips to help you build a collection that grows steadily in price, I do see as important as they are, it's also very important that you don't make common mistakes in this hobby. And there actually are 4 mistakes I'd personally avoid, and they're explained in this video right here. Within this video on screen, I go into the 4 Pokemon investing mistakes you should probably avoid if you're looking to build a strong collection. If you enjoyed this video, click the video that's appearing on screen. Really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.